Welcome, Falcons and NFL fans, to another episode of Jackson Pigskins on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. I'm Tom Pollen, along with Wanda Weidman. And today we're going to talk about the end of the Kirk Cousins tampering investigation. Put it to bed. It's done.
Yep.
It's time. I don't know why it took the NFL so long to announce this, but considering that they really didn't levy anything overwhelmingly bad against the Falcons, but we'll talk about what they did do and why as we get into the show.
It's good.
And Falcons mandatory minicamp wrapped up. We are now officially in the off season. We got a brief, 6 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks.
It's crazy.
I know. This is the only time that the NFL has not filled on its calendar. So they have filled every other month except this month. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about mandatory minicamp, the ruling, and maybe a few other nuggets that have dropped over the week, depending on how much time we have. So before we start the discussion, show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Sign up with Prize Picks today. Receive a match of up to $100. $100 of your first deposit. Remember to use the promo code ASU, Atlanta Sports Unlimited, to support the site, support the channel, and support this show, Jackson Pigskins. We'd love to have you there. And as I say, tell them where you found us, or where. Now you can make player props on NHL Finals. NHL Finals is still going on. Major League Baseball, CFL. We got the CFLs happening.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you watch CFL, Wanda?
No, not really. I watched the UFL. I've watched that, but not the CFL. No.
Do they have that championship game is tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see how that ends up. But if you're interested in a future Falcons playoff prop for the season, I've given you Kirk Cousins 2 weeks ago, gave you Drake London last week on receiving yards. Kyle Pitts is projected for 775.5 receiving yards, plus or minus. That's your choice. So sign up, get involved, let them know who you think. Are they way off? Or are they fairly accurate? You tell them. So, but you get $100 extra off your first deposit to tell them. So sign up right now. First topic today, the tampering punishment from the NFL is here. It's
here
done.
Is.
Hooray. They did ding the Falcons for one violation of the Anti-Tampering Act, but it's not the violation I expected. The punishment is to forfeit the original 5th-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft and pay a fine of $250,000, while General Manager Terry Fontenot has been fined $50,000. I guess you must make pretty good money as an NFL General Manager if you can afford a $50,000 fine.
Right.
I mean, that would set me back quite a bit, but I don't know. So one thing we do know from the fines, NFL general managers make pretty good money. So,
yeah.
But the main thing that I kind of expected them to get dinged on was Cousins talking to the head trainer and then Ryan Pace before the tampering deadline was up. What they really got punished for was basically they had discussed travel arrangements and logistical issues with Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and the new tight end they just signed, Charlie Warner. So, but kind of overlooked the fact that Cousins talked to personnel before the deadline was up.
Yeah.
And really, that was the violation because that's still against rules. But the NFL has come out and said that that Cousins had already agreed to terms. Cousins, his representative, had already agreed to terms with the team. And they were, so they have nothing against him talking to the trainer and to Ryan Pace. That's supposed to be a violation.
Yeah, because according to the tampering, it's only allowed for the agent and the team to talk to each other,
right?
Not the player. So that kind of leaves that a little open, like, okay, well, are we kind of bending the rules now and deciding what is part of tampering, what is not part of tampering? Yeah.
The problem is, and I think the NFL is really kind of to blame for this. The more they try to get their hands around a regulation or a ruling or one of their rules, the worse they find it. That they go down a rabbit hole and they can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So, and it just seems to be the NFL can't define tampering. Well, they can't define pass interference either. So, but
yeah.
So, but why are they getting fined for contacting the three players to make travel arrangements and to make logistic arrangements, considering that once you agree to sign, once they've agreed to terms, you have to get them to Atlanta to sign the contracts.
Right.
All right. That's logistic. Why is that an issue? And Cousins are not talking directly to Falcons personnel, not an issue. Should be the other way around. I don't care about logistics. They just need to get you down there to sign the contract. Let's.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you go back, like you were saying, what Cousins had admitted to, and it was 4 different tampering situations there. So the violations within a 52-hour period of negotiating. So that was all part of what was the tampering window. And the Falcons were permitted, like we discussed, to speak to their agent, but only to Cousins' agent. And then you kind of think about, okay, if I'm Cousins, I'm signing with the team, I'm going to sign with the team, they're going to ask you questions. I'm going to answer their questions because that's the team I'm going to sign a new contract with.
Yeah.
So with that, it's like, I'm going to do that. And that's what Cousins did. He's talking to the trainers, letting him know what the progress of his Achilles is and the healing process and what's going on. And then with Pace as director of personnel. So, working that. And so you kind of think, if Cousins hadn't opened his mouth, if he said nothing, I truly believe the NFL would not have been involved. There would be no tampering issue. Nothing would have been done. That would have been it. But because he opened his mouth, media just flew in, and it was all like all these now, okay, this has to be tampering. This has to be tampering, which if we look at it, yeah, that would be tampering. according to what their definition of it is. So, that kind of fueled that whole thing, and it forced the NFL to be involved, forced them now to, okay, what do we have to look out here? Let's look and see what we can get them on.
Right.
So they do their questioning. Now they're looking at it, and I don't think they would have let it go. They pretty much saw that Cousins was going to be a done deal with Atlanta. The Vikings weren't going to do anything at that point. But I think it was that they had to do something, because if they didn't, they still even had the issue with the Eagles and that situation, which they let go. There was nothing there. So it was just now basically, what are we obviously going to do in this situation? So they had to put a fine. So we see this minimal fine that occurred. And I was thinking to myself, because I was watching on Roku, they have the it's called Just In, and it's about the NFL draft. Okay. This one that just passed. So they have this whole thing, and they give you kind of a really good view of the general managers, the war rooms, and what they're going through. And they put a shot on the Bears, who really wanted Rome Odunze. And so they were the 9th pick, and the Atlanta was the 8th, and they were thinking of trading up with them. So Poles calls Atlanta, to see if maybe they would take a trade up, and they were going to trade them their 4th round pick on 2025. Atlanta says no. And so when you look at it, if they had said yes, they would have gotten that 4th round 2025, and this 5th round that they were docked for would have been a wash.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, why didn't they go for it, take that? Because obviously we wanted Rome. They still would have gotten Penix.
Yes, right.
And we already got Caleb, so what would have been the danger? That was interesting to me.
Yeah, why not? Why not take an extra pick when your pick is sitting right there?
Yeah,
and is going to be sitting right there because the Bears are not taking another quarterback.
Right.
So you've decided, but that's front office. I don't know. Half of what goes on with them, half what goes through their minds just astounds me sometimes. But yeah, it would have made this a wash. But of course, they weren't even looking at this right now. And I guarantee you, these issues happen in every NFL meeting room. They talk to players. Don't tell me that they don't. They come to agreements with players. Other players have never mentioned it. They've never called attention to it. Right. Cousins called attention to it. That's the only thing we got going here.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think about the Kyle Pitts discussion and the texting to Cousins, and then with with Cousins going after and texting Mooney? I mean, what do you think was the whole logistics of that?
Well, a couple of things here. And Pro Football Focus kind of sent questions to the NFL. And this is kind of where we get this information from. As long as the Falcons weren't encouraging Pitts and Cousins to do these textings, the Falcons can't be held liable. If it's just the players doing it, there's nothing you can really do. Players text each other all the time. And according to what Pro Football Focus, not Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Talk found out, the NFL said they reviewed phone logs, text messages, and other documents, including transcripts of press conferences and conducted interviews with relevant personnel, did not find any instance where the Falcons said to Kyle Pitts, see if you can get Cousins down here. Or, to Cousins, see if you can contact Mooney. So all of that became moot. Because as long as the Falcons did not instigate those calls, those texts, it's just players communicating with each other.
Right.
And you asked a question about Pitts, why he would be texting Cousins.
Yeah.
Pitts is in his fourth year of his deal. He's going into his rookie option, and then he's going to be looking for an extended contract. Well, you look around, and I'm sure Pitts looked at the free agent market and said, I need a quarterback who's going to get me the ball the next couple of years. I need a contract. I can't keep trying to catch passes from these clowns they're bringing in.
Right. Right.
So I'm sure Pitts looked at the free agent market, asked around, said, who's got Kirk Cousins' phone number, and texted him and said, hey, come on down here. We want you. I want you.
Yeah.
I want a quarterback who can get me the ball and show that I can actually play this position in the NFL. Because that's been the question. I don't know, a little difference between Falcons fans is people who think Pitts is still capable of being that first round, top 10 overall draft choice, and people who think that Pitts has been a little lazy and has kind of caused his own problems. And I think Pitts wants a quarterback who can actually get the ball to him.
Yeah. And
show that he's a legitimate NFL tight end.
And he proved to be, prior to being drafted. I mean, he was high up on the board, and he's extremely talented. So I could see where he would have been so discouraged with the quarterbacks that they had going back. There was they were going back and forth so much with two different quarterbacks to try and figure out who was going to fit. And as every receiver, when you see them, they need to have that rapport with that quarterback so that they've got the timing right. They got the routes. They know it, blindfolded. They know what they need to do. So I could see at that point then why Pitts would want Cousins, who is a bona fide quarterback who can get the ball to their player. And if he can do that, get the yardage that he needs to get a blockbuster deal for himself going forward, then he had to go for someone that he knew had at least something behind him in experience. Yeah.
Somebody who can make all the throws.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going with this. And I'm sure Pitts, looked at Wilson's last couple of years in Denver, thought Cousins might be better if we could just get him here. Get him to Atlanta. So,
and it's kind of like telling that he would be texting Cousins and not Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. He thought Cousins was the guy who could do what he needed. So, and I think you're going to see a different Kyle Pitts this year. Kyle Pitts was discouraged the last couple of years because of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wasn't getting the ball when he needed to get the ball. And last year, Pitts was more playing a blocking tight end, and Jonnu Smith was actually getting the ball more in the passing game. So, the whole thing is ridiculous. And I think Pitts is going to be a lot more encouraged. I think you're going to see a lot more energy out of Pitts coming up this year.
I agree. Yeah.
So, but you brought up, before the show, as far as Cousins and Mooney. Cousins has seen Mooney twice a year for the last couple of years. So, yeah, of course, Cousins is going to say, come on down with me. Bears don't want you. I want you with the Falcons. And I'm sure that was part of the conversation with Ryan Pace.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can we get Mooney down here?
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. To get somebody that is a good wide receiver in maybe the shorter routes, just quick routes, and be able to get the ball at least first down catches.
Right.
To move the ball down the field, they need somebody quick, and Mooney's your guy. So that's something that Cousins works well with. He can get the ball to his tight ends to get it farther down the field, especially tight ends getting up the middle. If they can play it that way, he's wide open. And then you've got Mooney, crossing, and then you have Drake London who can go on the sideline. So I mean the pattern is great for them to be able to be successful now. So I think that was a good choice. I really do.
So do I. And as I say, the NFL looked in the Falcons. Did they tell Cousins to make these texts to Mooney? Well, with all the phone records that the NFL looked at, and the NFL can find any phone records they want. They do that investigating all the time, especially in gambling. They can find phone records, and they didn't find anything that said the Falcons instigated the calls, said, Cousins get Mooney, Pitts get Cousins. Falcons were involved. So I don't see what the big deal is. All right, when it first came down, I thought it was a slap on the wrist. The more I look at it, I think the NFL just felt like they had to come forth with a punishment.
Yep.
Not too onerous, not too something that was going to be, this wasn't going to be a precedent. Because that's the thing. I think around the league, a lot of front offices said, hey, we're, off the record, are saying, hey, we're doing this a lot. And, you make this a case that you're going to rule it on, in the future. So we're all going to have problems. We're all going to come up against these fines and these issues. So it's the fact that the NFL made their fine $250,000, took away a 5th round draft choice, which a 3rd day draft choice is all right, and it's not like the Falcons probably can't get that back at some point, and I'm fine with it. I don't think there needs to be a scorched earth policy that at least one person in the media, who shall go unnamed right now, thinks that there should have been. I think the NFL has been very consistent. I think the NFL needs to get rid of this tampering period.
Yeah. I agree. It's time.
Quit trying to regulate this stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to regulate it.
I mean, it's different. Yeah, honestly, they can't. There's just no way to regulate. I mean, teams are going to, the whole objective is winning games. I mean, these teams need to get the players. And if it was already, I mean, everyone already knew that Cousins was going to move on. Minnesota had their time with him. They still weren't getting into the post. I mean, they would get to the postseason, but they couldn't get past it for whatever reason. And, last season being that Kurt got hurt, could they have gotten farther? Maybe. It's very possible if Kurt didn't get hurt. But I think at this point, a different scenery just seems to be the thing now is for a lot of these quarterbacks, a different scenery.
Yes.
To see if they can move on and get to the promised land like they need to. So I think at this point, Cousins was ready to go elsewhere and go with a team that was willing to build around it completely. And the Falcons looked like they were going that direction in spending money, getting players, and doing what they needed to do.
Yeah. But that's the thing, and Tony Wright makes a point. Where's Tony's? I missed him. Happens every day with players. Players talk all over the league in the offseason. Same players have the same agents and they talk. Players are friends with other players.
Right.
This happens. Exactly, Tony. It happens all the time.
Spot on, yeah.
So, it's, and that's kind of why that was never going to be an issue as much as some people wanted it to be an issue. That was never going to be an issue. The fact that there was texting going on between Cousins, Mooney, and Pitts. Wasn't going to happen unless the NFL found something in the phone records, and they didn't. Right. They all talk to each other. Front offices talk to players. So there's quit trying to make it more than it is.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but the main problem that we run in here is this tampering period. Why are you saying it's tampering to set up travel arrangements or logistics issues with Cousins, Warner, and Looney when they've already agreed to terms? The logistic arrangements are to get them down to Atlanta to sign their contracts.
Right.
Why is that tampering?
They had to find something, I guess.
That's the thing. And that's why I say, why are we dealing with this tampering period? Because every team does it.
Yeah.
This isn't. Every team, once they agree to terms, are contacting players to get them in to the office and get their contract signed. I guarantee you all 32 teams in the NFL could be fined for tampering.
Exactly. And it's kind of like chump change when you look at what they fined the Falcons for. So, I mean, $50,000 for just that's like chump change.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like they had to, for the sake of saying, okay, we have this tampering rule, let's just fine them this much and be done with it, and everybody will be happy. Where it's just like you said, get rid of the tampering and then it won't be an issue.
Right.
You don't have to do that. It's different if you're investigating something that is detrimental to a team, as they did with the inflate gate. Okay.
Yeah.
That whole thing. That was detrimental to a team, to playoff run, to the whole. That's a whole different situation, whole different monster. So that's different. But this is just players talking to other players. Things that, like you said, goes throughout the year with players and personnel. I mean, it's normal. It's just not everybody, is not every player confesses to it like Cousins did.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. And I guarantee you in the future, teams are going to be telling their signees, just say you're happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I didn't say, I'm happy.
No, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And that's it. Kind of cut it short. Don't worry about, you're not selling yourself to the organization anymore. So,
right.
Don't give the NFL any more fuel to try and jump in and what he's doing. So, anything else you want to say about this one before we kind of put this whole tampering thing to bed? once and for all.
Oh, no, really. I think we're pretty much done with the tampering.
Oh, yeah. So, no, and I'll admit, I got a little carried away about it the last couple of weeks. But after looking into the details of what the NFL released to Pro Football Talk, I'm like, really, this was a non-starter from the very beginning.
Right.
And really should not have been what this was all turned into. So yeah. I am fine with what the NFL did. They covered their butts. The Falcons are good. They didn't do anything that any other team didn't do. So
yeah, and honestly, I have to say that the team going through that whole process. So like with the Falcons, I mean, the Falcons were investing in this player.
Yeah.
So they should have every right to be able to communicate with the player.
Yes.
That they're going to be giving and signing that big amount of a contract.
Right.
So it should be just it's a no-brainer. And they had to do what they need to do to be a competitive team in the league.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And that's why I think this tampering issue, just do away with it, because the team has already signed the guy. They want him for this amount of money, and you better damn well believe they're going to be talking to him. So it's, I don't know. All this stuff just leaves me a little cold, and do away with tampering. Okay. NFL. Yeah, I know they're not going to watch.
They heard you.
They heard me. Do away with tampering.
Sure.
Before we get into the next topic, Lecky Tupau, I hate butchering names, but I'm sorry. New subscriber, turning in for Sports Live. We are happy to have you.
Happy to have you,
absolutely.
Lecky.
So, always happy to have new watchers, new people on the channel, and looking forward to seeing your comments as we move forward. Topics have wrapped up their off-season program. Mandatory minicamp is over. Everybody was there. No problems. Yeah. Not like some teams had. No problems with the Falcons. Everybody was there. Everybody participated, and it was done. Okay.
It's good.
Here's the one I was waiting to see, and I'm going to put it up there. NBC's Mike Florio is a hating dirtbag that thinks he knows everything, but people like myself ignore him, and he's also nothing but a clown and a juggling clown. I was waiting for somebody to throw that up there. Okay, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
That's fine. I figured somebody was going to put that, because I alluded to him. I never said his name, but I kind of put it through there that this is the guy we were talking about. Go ahead, Chris. Oh, thought Chris had stepped in for a second. He didn't use any bad language. I mean,
no.
But, so, and I know Mike Florio has not been popular in Atlanta these last few days. And I think Mike Florio overstepped himself on this one. He kept talking about the NFL might be making this a scorched earth ruling to completely put an end to tampering in the future. And tell you the truth, I can't tell if Florio was disappointed or what, but he doesn't seem happy with this ruling, and I don't know why, but hey.
I don't understand it either, because I mean, when you listen to others like Albert Breer, he's basically said this is something that they just had to come up with. The NFL had to. They would probably have just turned the other cheek and just kind of let it go, because it was just really a non-issue to them.
Right.
Because, as you said, it was already kind of a done deal at this point. So they weren't going to make an issue of it. But you have, PFT kind of looking into it a little bit more and getting more into maybe the NFL failing in their definition or their investigation with tampering. But I mean, as you can see with the punishment, it just wasn't enough to make it an issue, especially being that they investigated, saw the text messages, the whole discussion. It really wasn't a big deal.
And Florio sent 5 questions to the NFL office. The NFL office wasn't going to make anybody available. He sent 5 questions to the NFL office. They answered him very straightforward.
Yeah.
Which we've alluded to those answers as we've gone through, that there was no there. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Go on to something else. It's amazing, ever since they sold that site to NBC Sports, it seems like they've gotten out of, because Pro Football Talk got to where it is because they did the best job of getting a reporting on the news, maybe giving a small opinion, going on to the next piece. They gave you bites of everything that was happening around the NFL, and they were great at it. And I don't know, they're trying to go farther. They're trying to editorialize, and I don't think it's a good look for them.
Yeah.
But that could also be the influence of NBC Sports, too.
Yeah.
All right. The Falcons have wrapped up their off-season program. So it's been nice to see. As I say, everybody was there, no contract problems. A few teams did have contract problems, and we'll see what kind of time we have at the end of the show. But to me, there's quite a different look to this team heading into 2024 under Raheem Morris than there was under Arthur Smith.
Oh, yeah.
So
big difference.
And it's surprising because the same guy built the Arthur Smith's team and has built this team for Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
But the first thing I noticed, I watched some of the press conferences, is Morris seems very relaxed with the press. Morris will joke back and forth with the press. He's kind of he realizes he's got to be up there, and he'd rather make it let's be entertaining for a while since I have to be up here anyway. Arthur Smith always seemed to be coming off as arrogant.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're Bill Belichick and winning games.
Right.
But if you're leading your team to a 7-10 record in every 3 years of coaching, you don't get away with arrogant.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I do like how Raheem Morris handles the press. Size was important to Arthur Smith on offense as far as the receiving room. This team is built on speed, and I want to see how that translates on the field once we get to training camp. Not as many big guys on this team as far as receivers. There's no like Mac Hollins, who's, I think 6'4" or something like that. You got a lot of guys who are 5'10", 5'11", and fast. Ray McLeod, more, it's like they've they've changed their philosophy as far as their offense. And I give Zach Robinson a lot of credit for that because the Rams are built on a lot of speed too. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out with speed being the key to the Falcons' offense instead of size.
I think they're also relying on the fact that Kirk Cousins likes to get the ball out fast.
Yeah.
So I think that is a plus for him getting the ball out quicker. You got your speedsters and they can move down the field quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And Cousins is used to working with fast receivers. He knows how to, so this isn't going to be a problem. It's going to be interesting to see him start working with these guys in training camp.
Yeah.
Let's see. So offensive line is set.
Yep.
I think they're going to go into the training camp looking to build some depth behind the offensive line. But this offensive line is ready to play. They played together last year, and they're ready to go again this year. Morris did say some direct things about Drew Dahlman and Matthew Bergeron, and likes their toughness, likes their nastiness, and
yeah.
Well, talking about Drew Dahlman just being a real nasty SOB in the middle, at center. Well, we got used to watching Olin Kreutz too. We got used to watching what a nasty guy can do in the center of an offensive line.
Yeah. So
I'm fine with what he had to say about Dahlman.
Yeah.
So, but you got to build depth. So it's going to be interesting to see how the depth develops.
And they may be waiting. They may be waiting as preseason moves along, see what teams cut players.
True.
To see who may fit in their offense. So you never know.
Right. Yeah, there's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of team building to go.
Yeah.
This 90-man roster is not going to be the same 90-man roster that opens the season.
Right. Exactly.
Never is. So, now, of course, we're not going to be able to track defensive development until training camp and the first preseason games. But one exciting thing is Grady Jarrett feels like he's going to be ready to come back.
Yeah.
He's
excited and ready to go.
Yeah. I liked his press conference.
Yeah.
He feels like, he started rehabbing the minute he was able to, and he wants to get back out there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch him. Tony is coming up with his depth chart as usual, which he does sometimes. He thinks starting 3-4 defensive line, Zach Harrison, Onyemata, and Jarrett.
You know what? I agree with Tony. I agree with him there. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, so do I. I think that is exactly how it's going to line up to start the season.
Yeah.
So, not surprised. Tony also bringing up second string 3-4 D line, Taquan Graham. He thinks, I think Taquan Graham is going to be with the team. So James Smith-Williams might be released. Right. Eddie Goldman, Contavious Street. As I said last week, Goldman has to show me that he's committed to playing football.
Yeah.
Because the last 3 seasons, he has not shown me that he is committed to playing football. And there she is. There's the little girl. They've been all waiting to see you. Yeah, there's Zozo. They've been waiting to see you, Zo. You haven't shown up. So she's basically telling me she wants to go out back.
Oh.
Um, an interesting thing that I found this week on Pro Football Focus was that they had their breakout stars for 2024, and there were 2 Falcons that were on that list. So, very interesting to see that Pro Football Focus actually is noticing some of the things that the Falcons are doing. Left guard Matthew Bergeron, they feel, is ready to break out as a starter, as a guard on this offensive line opposite Chris Lindstrom. And they're also talking about edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie, and which is interesting to me because now we've seen Ebiketie twice. Really has not had the impact that I wanted to see out of him as an edge rusher. But they claim, according to their stats, his pressure rate jumped from 9.2% as a rookie to 16% last year. And they feel like he's still got more to bring. So does Ebiketie become the defensive, the pass rush 3-4 linebacker that we've been looking for? Is he going to bring it? Is he going to improve enough to give the Falcons what they need on the edge? Maybe
under Raheem Morris coaching, it's very possible. It might be a whole different shift in playing for your head coach. So it'll be interesting to see how the defense comes out. But I think he's got great upside. So I think he's gonna take another step forward.
Okay. The way I look at it, if he's going to be one of the outside linebackers as a pass rusher, some guys don't play well with their hand in the dirt. They do a lot better from standing position. They can get off to a better start. They can get their body under control, avoid the tackle. And that might be it. Ebiketie might be a better stand-up pass rusher than a guy coming up with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
Kind of the standard defensive end that we're used to seeing. So, but in 3-4, he's going to be lining up as a linebacker.
Exactly. So that might be a better, like I said, it might be a better position for him, and he might be able to get off that he's looking for.
Right. There were a lot of positives about him coming out of college. I want to see more as far as he did get 6 sacks last year, but I want to see him do better. I want to see him do better. I want to see him getting to the quarterback. The Falcons have got to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about pressures. You get all the pressures you want. Falcons were good at pressures last year. They couldn't bring the quarterback down. They couldn't get offenses behind the chains. One of the worst teams in the league in interceptions. And I think your defensive line, your pass rush can influence how you get interceptions.
Yeah.
So I got to see one of them. I got to see one of them come through. So going to be interesting. One of the things Tony has passed along, and I know a lot of Falcons fans are going to be disappointed in hearing this, but Calais Campbell is signing with the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
I know a lot of Falcons fans wanted Campbell back this year. That to me, Calais Campbell is a specialist defensive end now. He's not the guy who's going to get you. He's not at his Pro Bowl level anymore.
Yeah.
But I think he's a great teacher. I think he's a great teammate. And I think that's what's going to be Beep, 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 beep. I think that's what the Falcons are going to miss with him. So,
Yeah.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
this is what, his 18th year in the league?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
you might be right. Yeah, 17 or 18.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm busy. Yeah. She wants to go outside. She can't wait for the show to be over so she can go outside. But, you know, I don't think Calais Campbell was going to be a big contributor this year if the Falcons had signed him. I think he would have contributed a lot more as a teacher and as a specialist on third down or second and long, third and long. But it is disappointing that he was only with the Falcons once. And, you know, do hate to see that. You know, he's going to end up his career with apparently Miami's his hometown team.
Yeah. So maybe that might be where he retires.
Yeah, might be where he wants to retire.
I think another player that Falcon fans can look when it comes to training camp. I'm hoping he'll be ready by then. But J.D. Bertrand out of Notre Dame, he was extremely fast and hard-hitting linebacker for them.
Yeah.
So I think he may be surprising. He's one to watch in training camp and in the preseason. I'm sure they're either going to, they've got to get him out there because, he's been out with an injury. So to see how well he does, but if he's got his step back in and he grinds in, I think he might be a surprise for Falcon fans.
Yeah, I like fast linebackers.
Yeah.
And that's why I like Troy Anderson. So I think Troy Anderson's plenty fast and can do a lot of things, out of linebacker position. I think Anderson can go sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
So, I like that kind of linebacker. So yeah, good point. J.D. Bertrand, let's see how he rehabs. He's got his rehab time, and he might be a great late round selection for the Falcons, fitting the defense the way they want to run their defense.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that too. That's a good point out. Couple of things. One thing that kind of caught my eye, and we only got a couple of minutes left anyway. So there are 2 Netflix Christmas games. The NFL sold their 2 Christmas games to Netflix. However, there was a bit in Pro Football Talk, and this is what Pro Football Talk does well, is noticing that no one's really stepping forward to help Netflix produce these games. They've never produced an NFL game.
Yeah.
They have no idea what they're doing. And they don't have anybody to announce these games. And there's nobody on the horizon to tell them how to produce a game or how to run a game.
I don't understand how the NFL could approve this. I just don't get it. It's really, that the biggest, they Netflix goes and they sign this whole fight with Tyson and Jake Paul. And that was supposed to be their big introduction to the sports world kind of thing. And here they think, okay, we've got this. Hey, let's be able to show these 2 Christmas games for for the NFL. We'll get the sports contract in, and we'll figure all the logistics later. You can't do that with an NFL game. You cannot do that.
These are complicated
I don't know what
events.
They were thinking.
You've got to have cameras. You got to know where to go with the cameras, and how the game is progressing, and find announcers who can keep you involved in the game. And they have nothing.
You know
They
who
don't
would
have
be
a sports department.
watch them reach out to Omaha Productions, and it was going to wind up being Peyton and Eli announcing the whole game. That would be epic.
That would be a fascinating thing. Yes,
right.
I could definitely.
I could get behind that.
You know, you might not be wrong. I'm going to be interested. I'm watching for that.
Yeah.
But something to keep an eye on, just for the fact that, for the sake of the money, the NFL sold these 2 games to Netflix without really considering that Netflix has no freaking idea what to do with them.
Right.
An NFL game is one of the toughest games to broadcast. To keep your cameras in the right spot, keep your announcers, going and interesting. So
yeah,
Omaha Productions, huh? That's
yeah. I'm saying it here first. So here's where it's happening. Let's see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, Wanda, he has stepped out.
I've got the skin to you.
So look for Netflix, and you might actually see. It'll be fun to see Peyton and Eli.
Right.
And Archie. Let's get Archie in there too.
Yeah, let's get Archie in there. Sure, why not?
Basically, Eli and Peyton have more Super Bowl appearances than Archie.
Right.
Archie never made it.
No.
Yeah.
He got his jersey torn off a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, those early Saints teams were nothing to brag about. I almost felt sorry for Archie during some of those games.
Oh, he was running for his life constantly.
Yeah. So, but we are out of time. Again,
we just whizzed right through it.
It's amazing how fast these shows go. Again, mention our sponsor, Prize Picks. They will match up to $100 of your first deposit. So there are plenty of action always going on with baseball. Basketball wrap up. Did Celtics win that thing yet?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't know.
Well, you still got some basketball. You still got hockey.
Think so.
And future NFL season bets, player props, if you want to go ahead with them. As I say, Kyle Pitts with his new quarterback, 775.5 receiving yards, plus or minus. So
plus or minus.
Go for it. And if you want to get us on Twitter, as I say, I'm always available. TJ Pollen. Wanda, you are at
Wanda 63.
Wanda 63.
Yeah.
And so you're always welcome to contact us on Twitter. Other than that, bowling ball, 99 pound. I don't think I've seen him ever comment here. 4 rings at that dinner table.
Right.
None of them belong to Dad. So, too bad. If Dad wants to see a Super Bowl ring, he's got to have one of his sons to the house.
Yeah, right.
Too bad. But this has been a great time. I always enjoy these Saturday morning talks with all our fans, football fans, as many as we can. As many as want to come and visit us and join us for an hour. Join us during the week. If you haven't caught us live, join us for the replay anytime during the week.
Yeah.
But, been a lot of fun, and everybody have a great week.
Good week, guys.